Bienvenida. Welcome to the only moment there is. It will never be again. It will never come again. And we're in it together. I'm going to do one set, about 45 minutes, no more than that. And I hope to nourish us. We need spaces like this right now in the world to come together in this difficult time. So I'm glad we are together. I'd like to begin by honoring the ancestors of this space, this land that we are standing upon. These are our ancestors of place. We have ancestors of blood, of affinity. Mary Oliver is one of mine, and of place. And so I'd like to honor the Wishari Chari, the Kora, and the Copa people who founded the Coca people who founded Ajijic. I think that taking a minute to offer gratitude to our ancestors is so important because they loved and stewarded this land long before we were ever born. And may they remind us that we live in such beauty and that each one of us, like they were, is just here for such a little short time to protect that beauty for those who will follow us. So they're under our feet. Okay, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. I recently learned a Mexican expression for being love-struck or otherwise altered in consciousness. Te dieron toloache is the expression. Through the mint green gate that separates my neighbor's yard from mine, I watched the brugmancia tree in the Datura family, here called toloache. The breeze is blowing this way. I breathe and ask that my vision be opened. I wish to be, as the botanists describe these blossoms in their scientific literature, deliriant. I pray that the scent of these blossoms may haul me to my holy senses, till standard perception pales, till old ways of being fail, giddily, laughingly, dizzily fail, until me dieron toloache. And I wanted to start with this poem because I wish the same for you. Que les dieron toloache. What a beautiful place to be able to do this. I love seeing all your faces here. My next poem is called The Mañana Mentality, and I wrote it in one of the early years when I was here after waiting. I think it was actually 6 weeks every single day for a repair person. Oh, Mexico, are you trying to make me laugh? Waiting takes me to a place that has no past or future state. You've hauled me kicking to the present, where time expands but nothing moves, where days hold weeks, until out here past the usual limits, I learned they were illusory. Mexico, I think you're trying to make me laugh. I surrender to the strangeness and click my heels to the off-world rhythm of nowhere to go and nothing to do. But how long can I do it? How long? I thought Buddha promised impermanence. Just when I see the point of endings, this weight endures. Oh, Mexico, I step into your tickle of mañana. Let me bounce and find the fun of day after day after day of waiting. I'm trying to do some more familiar local pieces to get you up with me, and I know many of us know that Conchita, who is an institution in Ajijic of sorts, no longer sits on the curb here, but is well taken care of at Ancianita's home on the other side of the lake now. Here's a poem I wrote a few years back when I didn't know her quite as well as I do now. There's a picture of her on the book table back there, by the way. It was a picture I took many years, I think 2017. The only time I ever got her to come to my house, she could still walk, and she's pointing to one of her tapetes that she herself created. Her name is Conchita. I don't know how old she is, or the rest of her name, though I know about her son Angel. Once on the Day of the Dead, we went to the Panteon, to the cemetery together to see him. Today, Conchita and I eat ice cream cones sitting together on the curb. Day before yesterday, we shared some blackberries. Lots of people give her coins or food, but I think Conchita's hungry often. We don't know each other's native tongues. So in a language that's second for each of us, we speak Spanish in the present tense. 7 years we've known each other so far. When first we met, she still could work, setting up her backstrap loom every single day in the eucalyptus grove at the lake. She knows that I'm from El Norte, and I know she was born in a village near Oaxaca. But really, we have no idea where each other's coming from. Sometimes she and my son laugh at each other on the phone screen. Conchita remembers the visit when my boy brought along his dad. Bill bought a blanket from her, one chosen from her clothesline strung between the eucalyptus trees. When a few years later, I showed Conchita a photo of Bill's green burial with her woven blanket draped over his simple box. She looked at the photo and she nodded, full of silent sharing way beyond the bounds of language. Conchita is more obstinate than anyone I have ever met. I admire it, I do, but sometimes I raise my voice when she refuses help that she seems to need. Tomorrow I'll sit on the curb with her and share coffee. I don't know how or when she became my best friend, or why it took me this long to know it. Here in the Centro, there's a ceramic mural made up of bas-relief plaques shaped as skulls, and each is inscribed with the name of the actual person to whom it's dedicated. This Muro de los Muertos by our own Efren Gonzalez, the important thing to me about it is that it's installed on the exterior wall of a school. My poem is called Wall of the Dead for the Living. Can you hear me over there pretty good? Okay. Children's lively voices reach the street through a wall adorned with mortality. Young laughter peeling through jawbones of skulls. Reciting lessons through jawbones of skulls. Here twine companionably vibrant life with contented death. Hope for wholeness sings out in voices of school children, reciting lessons through a wall of skulls. They are children receiving the world through a culture that marries endings with beginnings. children receiving the world through a people and a tradition that celebrates the dead, and picnics in the Panteon. That's why these children, taught to walk with death, make me able to imagine our human family past the wars. Make me able to imagine our human family someday past the wars that always start with fear of death. Everybody comfortable? You know, our concept of Earth's place in the cosmos, and therefore of our place in the cosmos, has changed radically in a really, really short period of time. Did you know that the notion of a galaxy didn't exist until 1923? That before that, the Milky Way was thought to be an island universe, just us. And it wasn't until 2004 that the Hubble showed us there wasn't just one other galaxy or a handful of other galaxies, but get ready for this, 100 billion other galaxies at least. And in each of these, 100 at least, billion stars. My poem is called Stretch for It. How to stretch for it. How to look up from our little lives and comprehend the magnitude. The old ones knew we were from the stars, but maybe even they, the shamans and the seers, the dreamers, having their babies and tending their people, getting down and dirty with earthly life. Maybe even they couldn't always hold the grandness. Maybe even they, when they tried to grasp it all, felt fireworks scramble their understanding. How to stretch for it. How to look up and comprehend the magnitude. Even simply envisioning the sun shining on the side of the moon that we can't see, well, it isn't easy to do or to convey. And trying to sense our whole solar system perched out on the very edge of the Milky Way, well, takes sizable imagination. And now this incomprehensible word, billion. If your brain doesn't balk, you're not using it. Good, that's the only way, not the brain, but the whole body, the whole space-time suit we live in with every antenna. That's how to stretch for it, how to look up from our little lives and begin to comprehend the magnitude. We earthlings have elsewhere homes as well. Those billions of galaxies are stardust home. Those billions of galaxies are where every atom of your body came from. And recognizing home happens in the body. Tonight, from your Mexican backyard, I challenge you, look up. Open your arms to the stars and call home. Call home like the extraterrestrial you are, like the Earthling Plus. You are double visioned, so you can perceive the micro and the macro. Double visioned, so you can perceive the seen and the unseen. Go ahead. Stretch for it. You have it in you. Didn't you always guess Didn't you always, somewhere in your dreaming, want to make friends with sky cousins? Part of you knows we're not the only ones, that surely there are denizens elsewhere. And owning up to belonging to the larger family of beings, well, it zoops you to where you can settle your mettle, trust your purpose, and alight on earth as never before. Finding out how big you are makes room for errors and mistakes on the path. The fabric of space-time is alive. The fabric of space-time is alive with relatives. The fabric of space-time is alive with relatives rooting for us. You're here out of love for the great big we. They told me to tell you. Those are so fun for me. You know, the way it looks to me, our caterpillar viewpoint of human consciousness has pretty much played itself out. I think most of us alive today realize that we are on a bridge. We're bridging two worlds and two eras. My own purpose as a poet is, I guess, to support that transition to a more evolved perspective, which I think of as a butterfly view. And the next poem is one of my great COVID lessons. It's called Human Luminous. Singular living, it's over. Everyone in the world responsible for everyone, or else extinction. Our image of the human family transforms from countless ho-hum others to a single kinship clan. With jaws all dropped, we watch while our world view turns on a dime. Singular living, it's over. The human world that's dying contains within it seeds. For me, for you, it's time for planting and resetting. Up we must grow to wisdom, quick as a crocus. As the tree is the forest, each of us is a cell of sentient earth. Beneath our seeming isolation lies our mycorrhizal network. Yes, we're at the end. The end of a world that's done. And yes, at the start of new human ways. Long ago, a Mayan prophecy called this future human we are becoming Homo luminous. We're here to crack the cocoon and emerge as new arrivals, one by one. But on behalf of the whole, we lift our yet wet wings, and with butterfly eyes we view the unity our caterpillar eyes simply could not see. Singular living is over. In my last poem, you heard me use the word mycorrhizal. It's MYCORRHIZAL. The threads that connect all the roots underground are called mycelia, but the network, it's kind of a party line under the ground everywhere, even under the desert. Is called, the party line is referred to as the mycorrhizal network. And it lies underneath our feet right now. This rubber tree, this ule, is communicating and sharing resources with these trees over here and with the plants. This is something that the indigenous peoples, this underground power, have always had names for, and we in the West are just now learning about. I personally find it a very, very heartening discovery. So here's the poem. mycorrhizal. Say it over, learn it quick under your feet as you hear this. The earth is growing, crocheting its lace, swelling her net. If once you comprehend it, the wonderstruck won't leave. Invisible fungi fastening the trees, hitching and pinning it all. Oh, bridge. Oh, link. Teach us how. Teach us how to weave it with each other. Mycorrhizal, mother net of love. Everything I shared today is from my new book, Who Will Board the Silver Boat. Everything is in here, and I'm selling it and signing it afterwards. It's also available online. And I have to tell you, I love everything about being a poet, but there's something that I love the best, and it's this part. Being able to deliver my work directly into your ears, and I can't do it if you don't show up. So, thank you. What I'm given. Before my face, a sacred lake that quenches my desires. At my back, a mountain range protecting me. And I live in the midst of 100 shades of living green beneath a quilted comforter sky. So, when I crave a closing down, when I think that all I want is living small, dear ancestors, dear angels, kick my backside forward, due toward living large again. Let me live as large. Let me live as large as what I'm given. Let us live as large as what we're given. Yes. But living large isn't just for gratitude. I think we need to live large for those who don't have what we have. For those who don't have water right now. For those who don't have food. For those who don't have shelter. For those who don't have safety. I think we need to live large for those who don't have freedom. My next poem is dedicated to the women of Afghanistan. Hijab refers to the religious dress code for women. And the poem is called, For You Who Cannot. I read that you are rounded up for violations of hijab. So many of you, my sisters, are raped in custody. If you make it back home, you bow your heads in shame as if dishonored. And so many of you, my Afghan sisters, are taking your own lives. No. No, you were violated, but it is the Taliban rapists who have lost their honor. They displace their shame upon you, my dearest sisters. But it is not you who become less because of what they did. Let us scrub each other clean from every woman-hating act. Let us now call out whose soul it is that is stained. For you, our sisters who cannot. For you, our sisters who cannot. We name the criminals. The Taliban, it's almost 4 years now since they took over for the second time. And, women have been forced by law to conceal our faces and to conceal our bodies. And now there's a new law. The sound of a woman's voice is banned. I think of this. I stand here. I'm using my voice. I'm showing you my face. My next poem is about something we can do, something you might think is small. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Those of us who still can speak. But first, let's all take a deep breath together. I need you to breathe before I go on. That was a heavy thing to put on you. Come on. Do you have a happiness practice? If you don't, you can start right away in any moment of contentment. Hum your happiness out. You can hum your happiness out to the silenced places, to the parched places, to the places where sorrow and violence have smothered the joy. You can hum your happiness resolutely out to corners of crying. We can do this. We who are not in the crossfire. We were born for this. We who are not in the line of refugees along the road. Have you forgotten that we're made of vibrations? This is not woo, this is science. Did you forget that energy is as real as semi-automatics in the schoolyard? Quick, remember. Practice happiness every day. It takes no longer than writing a check for a donation. We can do this. This is something we can do. Hum your happiness out to the hard, sharp sights of despair, to one of the suffering corners of the world. Hey, here we are in a moment of contentment. Let's hum this Mexican afternoon's peace out. To Gaza, to Ukraine, to Afghanistan, to Sudan, to Myanmar, to Yemen. Hum your happiness out and take this practice home with you. This is something we can do. You know, the armed conflicts are defined as war or not by this body of people called the International Humanitarian Law. And they say that right now in the world, as defined by their criteria, that there are 110 places where that is true. And I think we can think of them as corners of crying. We don't have to use that word war that makes it like the people are invisible. No, we can keep one or two of these places in our hearts every day when we have a moment of contentment. Let's do that. You know, when I was little, I thought magic was pulling a rabbit out of a hat. But these days, I think of magic as creating light, making light out of hurts. The hat is the hurt, and pulling light out of it is the magic. Here's a poem called Making Light of Hurts. Once, I thought forgiveness, small, just words, courtesy. But now I plant my feet and lift my arms, making light of hurts, recent hurts, old hurts, ancestral hurts. One by one, I release the injuring parties and loose the ropes of old resentments. And light peeks out and shines all around my former gang of damaged selves. While making light from hurts, I discover that each time I clear the feelings of the past, I meet my newly buoyant self. Yeah, once I thought forgiveness, small, just words, courtesy. The first time you pray it, I forgive everybody, everything. You likely hear a sneer from the corner of your mind. But after practicing for many days like piano scales, it starts to take and turns itself to music you cannot believe is streaming from your fingers. Maybe making light is magic of the highest calling. I think it is the holy trick I came to Earth to learn. Thank you so much for your beautiful listening ears in this gorgeous place. In the tiger butterfly tribe, there's a genus called Danaus, D-A-N-A-U-S. We call them monarchs. Danaus 1. Not just any caterpillar. She hatched from a particular monarch egg on the milkweed. Her stripes were so bright, yellow and black and white. Not just any caterpillar. This is the one I watched grow fat. The one I watched attach her end to a leaf, hang upside down, and split her exoskeleton at the head. This caterpillar slowly discharged a thin silk shawl and covered herself with its length. And just before she went to metamorphic sleep, just before the sea green chrysalis sewed itself neatly closed, she wriggled fiercely inside it, and I watched while from the top she tossed the bundle of her skin. Every day I stare and wonder what it must be like to let one's body parts dissolve. To experience transformation into the parts of another creature. I watch the jewel of her chrysalis darken into mystery. Is it bliss in there? The egg she started from was laid by Mama in October, so the butterfly will be this year's generation 4. The ones that live 10 times as long. Though probably transfiguration rates her full attention more than age. She's focused so intensely, surrendering so completely. She seizes my devotion too. I watch the chrysalis and wonder what must it be like in there? Danaus 2. Not just any butterfly. This one was still a worm when first I knew her. This is the one I got to watch toss her bundle of skin after she wove her sock of silk. I didn't get to see her burst the chrysalis this morning, but when I woke, she was a brand new creature. Filmy wings that look like glass, delicate legs, feet that can taste, velvet body, spotted head, quivering gossamer antennae. 4 full hours she took to warm up, testing and testing her strength. 4 full hours to practice, to gather herself. I sipped my coffee and both of us waited for sun to touch my patio. And then she lifted to air, she fluttered up, sailing her zigzag way the crawling one could fly. I held my breath while she glided in my garden, letting the breeze become her friend. I watched her beauty rise high against the blue of sky. I think of her finding a wider world. And I think of us trying to transform our species. May our own evolving be as exquisite. It doesn't matter why. What do you think that's going to be about? I'm loved by a neighbor boy. He had just turned 8 and I was 76. Alan rang my bell to tell me his family's moving away. I love that boy and I don't know why. It happened right away when we met. A crush between the generations. 2 who make each other happy. And it doesn't matter why. After he left, he returned and rang the bell again to thrust a drawing into my hand. A sheet from a spiral notebook folded and folded into a special packet. Large in the middle of the drawing, my name inside a cloud, sailing over mountains with 2 smiley suns and 2 floating flowers. His name above mine with a heart all colored red. I haven't received a drawing from a child for maybe 50 years. I will miss this boy of heart who from the start had mine, who right away reminded me of my own boy long ago. Even though I'm sad he's moving, his visit brought me comfort. He didn't know, but it was a day when I'd been crying on and off, simply for the sad world blues. And there he was at my door, with his holy, trusting love and his beautiful, open face. Last February, I was volunteering at a turtle sanctuary on the island of Bali. Here's one of the travel poems from my new book. It's called If You Did Not Grow Up on Bali. If a baby is held for the first 3 months of life on earth, if a human infant is carried in the arms of someone who loves her, from the moment she is born, held close to another body without ever being put down for 90 unbroken days, what a trusting person such a child becomes. If a child grows up in a community where offerings are made in gratitude, tiny pairs of flowers and fruit, every single dawn, every single meal, every single day of her life, could this child ever forget she's part of something larger? Could this child ever forget to be grateful? But if you did not grow up on Bali, if you, like I, were not held in close constancy and you didn't grow up witnessing the naturalness of daily thanks, then to give yourself a path, imagine it. Instead, imagine going back to hold the babe of yourself for 90 unbroken days. Hold the babe of yourself. You can do it now. Holding the babe of ourselves for 90 unbroken days. Imagine absorbing the norm of giving thanks as ordinary habit, of honoring larger energies. Imagine the self you have become. How attuned you are to everyone and everything. Belonging fills your lungs like easy air. Your poems start from oneness instead of trying to travel there. You have grown yourself to wholeness. I see you are growing yourselves to wholeness as I speak. You take your humble place as a member of the living earth. You have decided it. You have decided to belong. Coming in for the home stretch. Here's a poem dedicated to every single one of you who showed up, but especially Kelly, because she likes this poem. It's called Dressed in All Our Decades. We are dressed in all our decades, rich brocades of life, well worn and regularly mended. Vivid restoration patches, a knee, a hip, make us into living art. Our grand but tatty brains save us from the trivial forgotten things and spare us for what matters. We're delightfully scuffed by life's great dance. We're rubbed toward circles and to the luster of original wonder. We as the elders take our place to lead the dance of life in the spaciousness of aging. In the spaciousness of aging, we rouse, we wake, more alive than we have ever been. I would like to offer a huge thanks to Judy Eager and Michael Eager and the whole Eager family and the staff here at La Nueva Posada. I also want to thank the Ajijic Writers Group, personified by Carol and Sergio, for their expertise in sound equipment. And most of all, I want to thank each of you for your magnificent listening ears. I put 1 or 2 poems a week up on my website, susasilvermarie.com, and you can pick up a business card from the book table to remember that website. If you'd like to subscribe, you receive notice of new posts. So my final poem is the title poem of my new book. It kind of asks us, I think, to step forward, to step up and become the evolutionary beings that we're meant to be. Who will board the silver boat? Our story, going on 14 billion years, compressed to a month, finds us here at the Silver Sliver, the dark of the moon, so recent we haven't yet noticed the growing light. Who will look up? Who will board the silver boat? Listen. Our descendants are calling. Through time, our descendants are calling, entreating us, turn toward Crescent Hope, beseeching us, ride the silver light, imploring us, embark, evolve. Who will look up? Let it be us. Who will board the silver boat? Let it be us. Thank you. What a great audience.
Oh my gosh, it was.
You know, she's in a
I know.
I've written songs, but I'm always just the melody. Okay.
Video.
I'll tell you what to write. To my dear friend Sue, who made me everything I am today. Kidding. I'm kidding.
She's amazing. I think it's not just listening to the words, but it's watching her enthusiasm for them and the spirit that comes out. And I just ran a whole bunch of emotions through this half hour. I'm going to cry. Yeah. May we all keep evolving.
I am here to listen to my beautiful friend read poetry. We're here to get Susa's new book. Margarita with friends and are reading to go.
Here, take a picture of these beautiful grass.
Oh, he's already been there.
Oh, he's already got you.
We love her.
Well, I've known Susa now for like almost 6 years. And she graced us with a book a few years ago, probably the one before this one. I first heard Susa speak at the LCS during the Day of the Dead celebrations, and I was very, very touched, very moved by her words and all of that.
I think Susa is the best poet in Ajijic. I will just say that. And I was never much into poetry until she read me one of hers, and the way she reads it and the way she writes it. And I am very, very fortunate. She's my neighbor 2 doors down.
And I'm a friend of the friend, but I've read some of her poetry too, and I'm thrilled to be here to support Susa.
I'm Carol Bradley, and I've known Susa since, oh my gosh, it's been a number of years. I'm part of the Ajijic Writers Group, so that's where I met Susa, and I'm delighted to be here to celebrate her book launch.